And welcome everyone to another exciting adventure on Riding Through the Unknown. I'm your host, Michael, and today's guest is someone who I feel like you all are going to be so entertained by. We've been kind of chatting a little bit backstage, having great conversation, and kind of making each other laugh. So I feel like you guys are in for a real treat tonight. And so instead of sitting here and just rambling on, I'm going to turn it over to my amazing guest to share a little bit about herself. So I give you the one, the only, the amazing author and experiencer extraordinaire, Tiffany. And I could not remember the last name, so I didn't go there.
That's okay. It's a tough one. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. Like you said, I'm an author. I also am a Spanish language interpreter and translator. I like to write. I write novels and short stories. That's really about all you need to know, I think.
So, how did you get into being an interpreter? Are you able to hear me right now? Or did we lose sound connection?
Sorry, did you freeze?
Oh, it's on
A
my screen.
little.
It
I
looks
think
like
I
you
just froze
froze.
for a second.
Okay,
Okay,
so
I thought you
how did you get
froze.
into
Yeah, I
interpreting?
think we're back. Um, uh, well, back when I was about 14 is when we could first start taking Spanish in school when I was a freshman. And I just felt like it was like a calling, I guess you could say. I felt really drawn to it. I always liked to travel and wanted to travel. Um, so basically the first chance that I had to study it, I did. So I took all 4 years in high school, and then my first year of college, I went to Madrid, Spain to study. Studied there, lived with a host family, and then the year after that, I studied in Mexico. My last 2 years were in Oregon at Southern Oregon University. That's where I got my degree in Spanish language and culture with a minor in cultural anthropology. And pretty much right from there, I worked at a church in the Hispanic ministry. So it just kind of went from there. I worked at a clinic for a while, and since 2013, I've been freelance interpreting and translating.
Really cool. And so, do you feel like the fact that you were able to live in like Spain and Oregon and all these other places that you were guided to any experiences there, or or do you feel like nothing really happened until you started looking into something else? I think she froze again. Let's see. There
Sorry, I
she is.
lost you again. I keep getting the spin. Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, no, it happens more than you know. It's all part of the fun of having a live show is dealing with Wi-Fi signals. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Now she's back. Or is she? Is this going to become paranormal, trying to figuring out if she's back or not?
I can kind of see, sometimes I see you, and sometimes it's just, are we back?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. And
But I don't see myself. Sorry, I'm not sure there's anything I can do to make it.
well, we're
It was
seeing
fun
you
beforehand,
moving.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we see you moving. Your picture's always up, but sometimes
Okay.
it's frozen.
Can you hear?
But we can hear you.
Okay.
But
Maybe. Let's see.
it could
Is
just
it
be the area.
good now? Or I can try moving closer to the router. Maybe that would help.
You, we that's up to you because we can hear you, and uh, but to
Am
be
I
honest,
back?
I'm not a techie person, so I couldn't tell you if it's improving or not improving. I
Okay, I can
just
see you
know.
now. I'm not sure what I'm gonna say.
So the question I had asked when you started to freeze was, do you think being in like Madrid and Oregon brought experiences to you, and that's partially why you were there, or do you feel like they just didn't happen or did happen just because you were just lucky to be there?
Mm, I don't know. Probably just because I was lucky to be there. I'm not sure. I was following my dreams, what I felt kind of called to do. And in these places, when I was away from home, I didn't really have any paranormal experiences to speak of. They've all happened in my childhood home and a few places that I've lived close to there since then.
Okay. And now, do you want to talk about your experiences at your childhood home?
Sure, yeah, it wasn't like an everyday thing, but there were some things, especially around the holidays, weird things would happen. We had one of those train sets around the tree, and that would go off, like start going by itself in the middle of the night. The radio in that room would turn on by itself all the time. And first, it's kind of like, well, maybe it's just the train set is wired weird. But we had two or three different sets, and they all would do it. They would start going by themselves. Um, and little things like I would feel hands kind of on my shoulders quite a lot, kind of like pulling me back. My closet, I had like a sliding closet door, and I would look over at it and it would like open by itself. Um, and it was just strange because, and I would ask my parents all these questions like, what do you think is causing this? And they weren't sure either because the house, my dad built the house, and before that, it was just cattle, like ranch, like cow grazing. So I don't really know, but there were two strange things that happened involving my brother when he was home from college. The first thing was he was there alone. My parents had gone to church. He was taking a shower. He's in the bathroom. He gets out of the shower and he hears somebody out talking in the living room. And again, can you see me still?
We you're
Okay, am
talking
I back?
about
Sorry, I had
well, the picture is frozen, but we can still
the
hear you.
spinning
So
wheel for a
the picture catches up every
second.
once in a while.
But the
So he was
sorry,
hearing
did you
voices in the
did you lose
living
me again?
room.
Yeah, okay. So he's hearing my voice on the living room. He thinks that I'm there. So, and he's like, it was your voice saying things. He thought I was talking on the phone to someone because it was your voice. It was saying it. There was laughing. There was certain phrases that you always say. But he goes and gets dressed and comes out, and nobody's there. And he calls me. He's like, "Were you just here?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't live there at the time. I wasn't there. Um, nobody else was there. No TVs were on, no radios. So it's like something, it kind of felt like a trickster sort of spirit, like the computer would turn on when I would walk in, the train, the radio, the closet opening, and then he hears this voice that's mimicking me for some reason. Obviously knew me. I don't know why, but and then a couple months later, he was home again, sleeping, trying to fall asleep. And he starts hearing this voice, like a really soft female voice. And he couldn't really hear what it was saying, but he focused in. He said he almost had to like stop breathing so he could hear what it was saying. But he focused in, and it was a woman's voice praying the Hail Mary prayer over and over and over, kind of like a whisper, like right by his head. And he said it went on for like hours. I don't know if he eventually fell asleep or it just stopped in the morning. But that was another, I wasn't there, but that was another weird thing that happened. Like quite a few people in that town have talked about hauntings and weird things, and a lot of people think it's like from way back, like either Native American or like most of them think it maybe Native American ghosts, maybe from the time when Europeans started, when missionaries started coming over. I tend to agree, probably just because, as far as we know, no one else lived on that land. There had never been a house there before. Like this might be older sort of activity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but still, I kind of would take the opinion of, hey, if they're turning the computer on for me, that's really cool that it loads up and is ready for me to get there. But yeah, I could see where too you'd be, a little bit unnerved because yeah, a computer just literally turned itself on. And admittedly, my laptop does that. It'll be in sleep mode, and I sit down in my chair and I don't even touch the mouse, and it wakes up. And I'm like, how did you know I was here? But this is kind of cool. I'm liking this feature, but
Yep,
I'm
that's
like,
what it would do.
how do you know though?
Yeah, like is this really necessary? Yeah, I would step into my parents' bedroom where the computer was, and it would like turn on when I would look at it.
Very cool. And so I'm kind of
Just
curious too,
weird.
along the lines of, you know, beyond the electronics, did you ever see or get a feeling of a certain type of spirit being around or an animal being around that shouldn't have been around, maybe?
It didn't really feel like animal. Like I say, a lot of times it felt like like it was just joking around or messing with people. Um, I was there once by myself a couple of years ago. My parents were on vacation, and I was care of taking care of the house for them. And I was there by myself, and I just got this feeling of like fear, like dread. Like I had brought some books. I was just gonna relax, but I just got this feeling like something wanted me out. So like I couldn't stay there. I didn't read. I just left. Like when I was a kid in my room, I always felt okay and safe, even though and peaceful, even though a couple of weird things happened there. But I did always feel kind of uneasy in other areas, like the rest of the house. I mean, the basement is spooky, kind of a spooky place. Anyways, and sometimes like it just didn't want me there.
You know, it could be a situation of like the spirits are protecting the house, and they're like, "You don't live here. Why are you here?" And so that may be why they kind of were like uneasy with you around, is because they're like, "Wait, you're not normally here. Why? What's going on?" And so maybe that's a little bit of it is their protection kind of was like, hey, yeah, you're visiting, you don't live here, we do live here, but they don't live there. So I don't know, do you ever get that? Could that be?
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe. It could be sort of, yeah, like protective too. Like I don't know if it goes back, a ways. Like there's never been anything outside of the house that's strange. It's always been inside. So I don't know what was there, what we built on top of. I mean, we've never found any bones besides like cow bones, or anything strange like that. So it's hard to pinpoint, but there's definitely something weird there.
Yeah, and so that's really cool. And I'm kind of curious too, because you mentioned in your um in the topics Bigfoot activity. And so was that at your house or was that at a different location? Okay, I think we froze again. And so, well,
We're moving. We're moving.
it got brighter all of a sudden.
Okay. Can you see me?
I see your picture, but it's slightly
Yeah.
frozen. There
Yeah, I
it
was
goes.
trying to move closer to the router. Maybe that would help. Am I back?
We can hear you. Your picture moved and then it froze again a little bit. It seems to be a slight lag in the video, but the audio is coming through. I'm not, I'm not sure. There
Okay.
seems to be a
Yeah,
little
so
bit of
I
static
missed sorry, I
too.
missed your last question.
The question was, you mentioned in the topics, potential topics, Bigfoot at your house experiences, and I was asking, was that the house you grew up in, or was that a different house?
Sorry, you cut out at the important at the important part. It was what at a different house? What lived there?
Bigfoot. Your Bigfoot stories.
Oh, okay, yeah, that I know you said that a few times, and like every time you got to that word, I swear, like that word cut out. I'm like, what is he asking about? Okay. Um, yeah, so that was at a house that I rented from. I was there from 2011 to 2014. And I'll just start by saying I never saw one, but there were several weird things that happened at this place. And then I'd say about 2 years ago, I started to listen to cryptid podcasts, people that would say they'd seen Dogman or Bigfoot or, and it was, mostly Bigfoot podcasts. And then after I'd been listening to those for maybe like 6 months or so, like when it just sort of suddenly clicked that the weird things that had happened at that house were probably like all the weird things fit into how these people were describing that Bigfoot acted. Like I never like I thought back then I thought that it existed, but I thought it was probably like a Gigantopithecus or I didn't know this whole the other side, there's a spiritual side. They apparently have some abilities. I didn't know any of that. So I was I was spiritual. I was into the new age at the time. So I tried to give it like a spiritual sense, but it didn't click that all the weird things that happened could have been Bigfoot until I started listening to all these podcasts, and I was like, that's probably what it was.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I had experiences that I deemed metaphysical because I grew up metaphysical, and everybody that when I was talking to him about it, I go, "Oh, so you've been in the paranormal all your life?" And I'm like, "No, I've been in the metaphysical." And they go, "Well, what you're describing is paranormal." And then and I sat back and thought about it for a moment. I was like, yeah, I guess it kind of is. So I guess metaphysical was paranormal. And so, okay, yeah, I guess I
Yeah,
have been.
kind of interchangeable. Right. Yeah. So, if you want, I can tell you kind of some of the weird things that happened and how I figured that maybe that's what it was.
Please do. I'm very interested, and I think so will the audience be.
Okay. Um, yeah, so let's see. Probably so I lived there with my son. My son was actually born in that house. So he was born in 2012, and nothing really happened until after he was born. I didn't really notice anything. Um, but the first thing that happened was I lived there with his dad. So it was me, my son, and his dad. And he comes home one day. It was probably like, I don't know, 7, 8. And he's like, something weird just happened when I turned onto our road. I was like, oh yeah, like what happened? He's like, there was this as soon as I turned our road, there was this like ball of light. It was kind of in the tree line, but kind of following me, kind of weaving in and out of the tree line. Sometimes it was right beside me, sometimes it was up ahead, but it was like it was following me, watching me, studying me. I was like, well, like, how big was it? What did it look like? He said it was about the size of a soccer ball, maybe. And he said it was kind of translucent, like sometimes it looked white and sometimes it looked blue. And of course, I thought that was weird. And I had heard of orbs, and my understanding at the time was it's either like a spirit or the projection of consciousness, maybe. Um, but then I start listening to stories that have Bigfoot activity near where they live, also see orbs and strange lights. I don't know if nobody really knows what they are, but I don't know if it's the Bigfoot they can turn into orbs or exactly what they are. But there is some sort of association or some sort of relationship where people that have Bigfoot activity also see orbs, which I didn't know. I never saw one. That was the only time he said he saw one. But that was the first sort of thing. And so then after that, probably a few, I'd say, I don't know if it was like 3 or 4 months later, around the same time of day, maybe 7 or 8 in the afternoon, TV was on, and all of a sudden, I'm sitting on the couch on the opposite wall where the TV was outside, like something hit the side of the house, like really, really hard. There was some pictures there, like the pictures didn't fall off, they kind of shook, but like something just hit the side of the house. And I don't know what it could have been. It sounded like somebody was standing out there like with a baseball bat and just swung and cracked the side of a house with the baseball bat. Like, scared me half to death. And the curtains were closed. I didn't go out and look right away. I was like a scaredy cat. I did go and look the next morning, and there was thankfully no damage to the house, but like no log was there, like no branch had hit it, like there was nothing. And there weren't any neighbor, like the closest house was like 10th. The closest house was probably like a 10th of a mile away, but they only had, um, I didn't know what it could have been, like nothing really explained it. So, and then you start listening to these podcasts and you hear all the time that that's kind of something that they do, like to scare you, or maybe it's like the juveniles, like the males, just because they're young and they just like to go and scare people, and they'll hit the side of your house. Like sometimes I guess they'll like tap on your windows. I never heard that, but at the same time, if it was, no, I don't know if I would have noticed if anything like really subtle happened. Like I guess sometimes maybe they'll like throw rocks or acorns at your roof or your house. Like maybe stuff like that happened, but I only noticed like the big thing. So I definitely heard the slap outside the house. And that only happened once, thankfully, but you listen to these podcasts, it's like pretty typically, like pretty commonly.
Right. The only thing I would say with that is be careful because some shows may, have the agenda of, yeah, let's make these scary and let's make them, more like borderline horror stories because that'll get more views. And it's not really the intention of the Bigfoot. So, what I'm saying with that is when you're like, yeah, they were trying to scare me, maybe they weren't. Maybe they were just kind of trying to let you know. And like you were saying, if they threw little rocks, you weren't paying attention to it. And so they were like, well, we don't want to scare you, but you're not noticing this. So what can we do to let you know we're here? And then they make this big sound.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's like, now she knows we're here. But
yeah.
now she's afraid of us. And it's like,
And
that
I
wasn't
was
what
like
we
so
intended.
oblivious. Yeah, that totally could be. Like I say, I did not make the connection until way, 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 way later. So there were so many. Yeah, now that I think about it, there were quite a few things that were probably for that, and like maybe they could tell I was more open-minded, but it just did not click. I mean, there were a few more things, and I never got it.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to share with you is when you said, it when it happened, you didn't go outside to check it out. You waited till the next day. That's actually really smart because if it wasn't a cryptid and it was like, say, a burglar or somebody, that could have turned out really bad. So you actually did the right thing by not going out and looking. So kudos for doing that, and don't beat yourself
Yeah,
up that you're like, I
I mean, I was
chickened out being
curious,
alone.
but the fear was, yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, because nighttime, yeah, it's not the best time to go out alone, in the
Yeah.
dark because you really don't know what's out there.
So yeah, true. Yeah, totally true.
So,
Because there was like right behind, there was like really dense woods that I didn't really go into much. Like I went back there once, and there weren't any trails. It was very thick and dense, and there was like an old car that kind of freaked me out. It was creepy, so I don't really know what was back there because I only went once, and so there could have been anything.
well, and one thing I will say, with the woods is if you ever seen trunks that were bent to like form like an X shape on a pathway, if you've seen anything like that, they will say that's usually like, I think it's like 7 or 8 out of 10 chances that a Bigfoot did that and they're marking their territory. So that could be further proof of, yes, there is a Bigfoot in the area. So was your encounter a Bigfoot? More likely.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But
Like I say, like maybe. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I've heard all of that too since. Like I said, I only went back there once. There was probably a lot more signs and a lot more things that I missed just because that was not on my radar and I didn't know what to look for. So I can only tell you the things that were like obvious and like in your face because that's all that I paid attention to. You know, I wish I would have had that frame of mind, but I really didn't.
Well, and it
So,
seems to be,
but there was, let's see, after that, one weird thing, like maybe it's related, maybe it's not. I've heard that they can kind of control electronics, like when people go out looking, like their batteries will get drained or die or things like that. And one day I was going out, there was nothing. Like I turned the key and the batteries completely completely dead. Completely, like, didn't turn over, nothing. So obviously I couldn't go to work. Um, I called a few people, everyone was busy, no one could come look at it. So I called into work, and in the evening, when my partner got home, I gave the keys. He's like, I'll go. I'm a car person, but I don't think that that's very typical, that it'll be completely dead and without any sort of nobody working on it. It'll just all of a sudden start. So I just thought that was weird, and that happened once too, but it was just strange.
That is very strange, and I would say that sounds like something interfered with the vehicle because vehicles don't not start and then decide, okay, yeah, we're gonna start now without anything being done. That's
Right.
just
Yeah.
that's not how they operate.
Right. Exactly. That's I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. And then I'm trying. There are a couple other things. The really, really, really. Here's the really, really, really weird one. So after that, this was I remember it was in February, in the winter, and it was around 7 in the morning. I woke up. I didn't want to get up yet, so I was kind of trying to go back to sleep. I had my son there in bed with me, and I was closing my eyes, kind of drifting off to sleep, but I wasn't asleep yet. And I all of a sudden hear my name being called, but it wasn't out in the room because he was a really light sleeper. He didn't wake up. Like, something just said it, it sounded like a female voice, and it kind of had an echo to it. And of course, it scared me. I was like looking all around, like, who was that? What was that? And I kind of thought, like, all kinds of things run through my mind, ghost, alien, spirit, ancestor, Bigfoot, and everything. But then you listen to the story, and, oh yeah, they're telepathic, and sometimes they can talk to you and send messages. Sometimes they try to let you know it might have been just them letting you know that they were there, maybe trying to call you out of the house. I don't know why, but I feel like maybe that was them too. Like, I don't have any other. That's the only time that's ever happened in my life that I heard a telepathic voice. So, and of course, it happened to be in that house.
Well, there is something to be said for that. And I did have a thought. I don't know how aware you are of what happened in surroundings, but
Um,
the day that your car couldn't start could have been them protecting you from something that could have happened, like
yeah. So I
a
feel like
really bad
maybe
car accident. And
maybe it was
so,
related. Sorry, I
so
lost you for a second.
yeah, it's being weird today, and I'm not sure what's going on with because there seems to be some static on the bottom, and don't know where that's coming from. And so I don't know. I just I've kind of gotten used to some people that live more out in rural area than city. Their Wi-Fi is a little bit softer, and so yeah, there's little glitches here and there. But I want to
Yeah.
ask, one thing is, being an author. Do you feel like these experiences, that you had at your childhood home, the possible Bigfoot experiences, seeing UFOs, all of this, and being in Madrid, being in Oregon, being where you were, did this influence your writing in any way, and did you incorporate any of it into your writings?
I think it probably did, just because when you're an open-minded person and you have also these experiences and you have, I like to write just because it's a creative outlet. I haven't added any particular firsthand experiences into it, but I think it does influence just to have, because I write about a lot of different species and creatures. I have elves, aliens, mermaids, troll, all sorts of different things. So I'm just sort of open-minded to those sorts of creatures being, some of them being fantasy and some of them being, possibly real, because you hear a lot of stories of people seeing a lot of strange things, and I'm not one to discount people's experiences, you know what I mean? Like I've never seen a ghost, but so many people say that they have. Like, who am I to say that that's not real, So just the creative aspect of being open-minded to different things and having different species interact. Sometimes they get along, sometimes they don't, and just kind of exploring what happens when these very different uh, creatures or species, exploring what might happen when they encounter each other.
No, I love that because I was talking with another, like, you could almost say celebrity from a paranormal TV show, and we both were like sitting there and saying, we don't have the right or authority to tell someone their experience is wrong unless we were
Yeah,
standing there and physically in that moment and going, no, that's not paranormal. That is this or this. But if we weren't there, we can't make judgments on people's experiences. We can only go
right.
by, how it sounds, and if it's matching up with other
Yeah,
stuff, great. And if it's not, that's interesting. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, do I believe that 100%? Maybe, maybe not. But I can't say I believe it 0% because I wasn't there. So there's always some credibility to it, just don't know how much to it.
right.
You have to kind of use your
Exactly.
own discernment. But I'm been
Yeah.
really wanting to kind of talk to you about some, like the picture that we have on the thumbnail of your books, and uh, my Spanish is not that good, and I'm looking at the title, and I'm like, I'm knowing this is Spanish,
Yeah.
and so is it the Roquil saga? Am I even remotely close to that?
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I don't think yeah. Well, that's how I say it. It's not necessarily Spanish. I just kind of made it up, but yeah, yep, that's a 3-book series I did. I also put all 3 of them together into one volume, sort of the omnibus series. So that was the first 3 books I published for those 3. And then I have a book of short stories that are all fantasy based, and then one novel that's more sci-fi. It's about guys in a UFO retrieval program, crash retrieval program. Also has to do with underwater bases. That was called Tonight in Tunisia. And then I just released another one. I haven't really promoted it much. I just got the copy. I can go through in the other room. I can go grab them in a second. But and that one is about his father was not a mermaid because that's the female version, but mer person. And so he's born on land and the humans have him in the beginning, but the mer people think that he belongs with them. And so they're trying to find a way to get away from the humans and take him out to sea with them.
And it's kind of interesting because in the disclosure movement, I don't know how much of that you pay attention to or get involved with, but there's a nomenclature to it of if you can think it, you have experienced it, and so therefore it's real. And so I wonder, do you feel like a lot of this is your personal memories coming through of different parts of your life that you may have lived and not realized that you lived?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it could be. I'm not sure. Like, you hear all these stories of kids, and they are remembering themselves from, oh, I was in World War II, and this was my name, and this is what happened to me, and this is how I died, and this was the name of, all of those sorts of things. Like sometimes, especially little kids, will have these really strong memories. And then as they get older, they kind of fade. But I think sometimes some people are born just more open, with less of a veil between themselves and the spiritual. So, I mean, reincarnation is possible, past lives are possible. I don't really have a firm belief as to whether the things I came up with, like for example, my latest book I had this really vivid dream about this boy that was half human, half mer person, and I was like looking out a hospital when he was in a hospital. I was like looking out the window, and there would be like mermen out in this harbor kind of looking for him. And it was really vivid, and so I just wanted to like write the rest of the story. Like, where did that dream come from? I don't know. Where do these stories come from? I don't really know. It could be drawing on something from the past, something spiritual, something coming from somewhere else. Like I said, it's definitely a possibility, but I don't know for sure. What do you think?
Well, because when you talked about like, UFO retrieval, that's not like common nomenclature. It's like you don't, and if you're writing about it, how accurate is it? And if it's like really accurate, then I would say that most likely is because it's something you've experienced and you're remembering. And whether it's past life or this life, that depends on, how you view time and timelines, but that's another story and for another show. But I'm curious, how much you
Yeah.
delve into like where, how are you researching, or do you just pull from memory and just write what you see and what you feel versus going onto a site and saying, oh, this is, what they say they do. Okay, well, let's work that in. So give it more credibility to the story.
Mm, yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
good question. Um, Around 24, I don't, yeah, when did that's probably around like 2015, 2016, you were talking about disclosure, I got really into disclosure and aliens, and I used to listen to a lot of testimonials, people that say like they've been in, different space programs and they've done this and they've done that. And I'm not sure how much of it, is true, how much of it I believe, how much of it is people being put up to it for some reason, kind of guide disclosure in a certain way. But I did used to listen to a lot of people who said, I've been to Mars, I've been picked up in UFO. I've listened to a lot of UFO abductee like experiencer um, podcasts and read books and that sort of thing. So I don't think, as far as that topic goes, not a lot of it, I don't think, just came from my imagination. It was from listening to those sorts of podcasts where people would talk about their experience, or they've done, like hypnosis. They think something happened, but maybe their memory was being messed with, or they were getting like screen memories, like something was happening, but they're being forced to remember something else, and they'll go under. And a lot of times the hypnosis will take away those screen memories and be like, oh no, like you saw an owl or you just saw a beam of light, but really what happened is you were abducted and you're part of this hybrid program. A lot of things that can get uncovered when they do certain types of hypnosis. Like I just would watch a lot of those types of shows and podcasts. So I think that's kind of where a lot of it came from. And obviously all my books are fiction. I'm not claiming any of it is real, but a lot of these people say that they really did experience abductions or seeing grays, small grays, tall grays, mantids, reptilians, all sorts of different types of, alien life that's out there. So I've always been interested in the topic, and so I'd watch all of these podcasts and interviews, and then I'd get an idea for a book that kind of came from that, or kind of off of that.
Yeah, and no, that's totally cool and that's totally fine. I always like to ask, that, what if, could it be? Because some people don't realize,
Yeah, I mean,
could have been an experiencer of something and it's been blocked from your mind. And when you're writing, it's like
yeah.
it bleeds through and it's like, hey, here's this, and so yeah, that's why I like to ask, is because sometimes being asked something can trigger a memory and going, hey, maybe because there is this I just thought about. And it's like, yeah. And so
Mm-hmm.
if it is personal experience, cool. And if it's not, it's still cool because you're writing about like certain aspects, like, when we look at books, nowadays of it, stories, and people's experiences, I don't think I've ever really come across one that goes, hey, I was in the UFO retrieval program and this is what we did. And so that's why I think it's really cool, that you are writing these little stories and sagas, if you will, of the different topics because it is putting it out there. And so maybe if somebody was a part of it, they can read your book and be like, hey, this Tiffany, person seems to know a little bit about what we did. And maybe then, maybe it was real. And I'm not saying, you're writing from personal experience, but your writing may help somebody who is come forward and say, yeah, this person, she's not an experiencer, but she's writing about stuff that we did. And it could be like validation for you of your mind filled in blanks
Yeah,
and
hopefully.
helped somebody.
Maybe, yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, definitely. I mean, That'd be inspiring, and that'd be awesome if something like that happened. Hopefully it does.
Yeah, because, and I will say from my writing experience, we can only really truly write what we know and what we're interested in. And so the fact that you're being drawn to these
Yeah,
topics may not be such a coincidence or accidental as you may think. There may be something underlying that's drawing you to all these topics. And so,
could be.
who
Yeah,
knows? But I will
yeah, there
say,
definitely
though,
could. Sometimes,
yeah,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say with your merman story being, brought up on land and going to the sea, my first thought was, yeah, that's Aquaman. Yeah. I was like,
Oh,
"Mm,
yeah.
maybe not, maybe similar, but not exact. But yeah, and that's the problem with, some of these is some topics are more written about, and so potential bleed through could happen. But, I'm not saying you ripped off of Aquaman, but or some readers may, sit there and be like, is this book about Aquaman? At first and be like, oh no, apparently not. Oh, well then, yeah, let's go read, who else,
Yeah, maybe.
but yeah, so do you want to dive into the UFO sightings and the pictures and the video that you have for us?
Sure, yeah. Well, one of them happened. I was just going to mention it because it happened during that 2011 to 2014 time frame. I was at the house that might have had the Bigfoot activity, and in listening to these podcasts with people, a lot of times they'll see UFOs around their house. Like this didn't happen around my house, but it happened in the same time frame. And what I've learned from those podcasts is they'll see either silver metallic like orbs or like silver metallic like teardrop shape. And so what happened was during that time frame, um, I went to it was like 25-minute drive away from my house, so it wasn't at my house, but I went to a place that had like an indoor play area with my son. Yep, this is one you're on right now. So it's this big like indoor playground, and I was sitting. There's benches along the wall. I was sitting at a bench, and there's these big windows on the other side of the room. And I didn't have. It wasn't like a voice. It wasn't like a telepathic voice. It was just more like a feeling, like a nudge, like go look out that window, and you'll see something interesting. And at first I was like, that's weird. I'm not getting up. Like I'm watching my son play. But something kept telling me, like, go look out that window. You're going to see something interesting. Like something kept nudging me to go to that window. So finally, I made sure my son was safe and playing. And I got up and walked across the room and looked out this window. And it's overlooking the parking lot, and just above the trees, like as soon as I get there, my vision focuses in on there's this small, round, metallic object. And I was like, well, that's not a coincidence. Told me to come over here, and there's this object. At first, I was thinking like maybe it's a balloon. So I looked for, balloons are more like teardrop shape and they'll kind of move around with the wind, but it was staying in like one place. Yeah, that's like, it's very small, but that's a close up of it. The arrows, I had this was 2014. I had my very first smartphone, my first phone with a camera, and I had the presence of mind to take a picture. And so you can kind of barely see it. So there's this object there. And so I'm like, wow, I was like supposed to see this. And I wanted it to come closer, but it like starts moving away. And I thought, well, if you can put thoughts in my mind and tell me to like go over there, maybe I can speak to it. So I started being like, I'm here. Can you like do some kind of crazy movement so I know that you can hear me? And it didn't. It just kept steadily like moving away at the same speed, at the same height. Just kept going. And I don't think a balloon would do that. You know, like balloons kind of move all over and just go where the wind takes them. But this was like very controlled, like very steady, like stayed at the same height and just keeps like going away. And it was during this time where I was having this weird activity at the house. And then all these years later, I start listening to these Bigfoot podcasts, and they're like, yeah, we see these round metallic UFOs around all the time too when the Bigfoots are around. And I'm like, well, it wasn't at my house, but it's weird that I had that feeling to go and look, like it wanted me to see it. And it happened like during the same time frame. So that's why I brought it up. Like, it was just weird. And probably, you know, probably related.
There it is.
Yeah, so that was that one. I don't even know if you can see it in this picture. I had to like look around for a long time to try and see it, and then I found it and had to draw that arrow to it because it wasn't big. It was probably the size of like a beach ball or something. Yeah, it was somewhere.
I thought I'd seen it.
Maybe
and then
up a little bit. I don't even remember. Yeah, it's there somewhere.
Yeah, it seems
Because
to be
I
in this
found it
very
once, but I think it's somewhere in there. Yep. So it wasn't super high up in the sky, but like I say, it wanted me to see it, and it was during that time frame. So I'm just like, it probably had something to do with them. Like you say, they were doing all these things to get my. And I even went to a few psychics, like asking them about the telepathic voice, like who was this, and all of them were just like, I don't know. Like I don't think it was evil, but I don't know. And then like. But I think back, and if they would have told me, oh, it was Bigfoot trying to talk to you, I would have been like, that's not it. Like, you're crazy. So I'm kind of glad they didn't say anything, and I made the connection later. Because I don't think I wouldn't have gotten it, you know?
right.
Yeah, so that was that one. And then this one that you're putting up right now. So this was in 2009. This was in Cusco, Peru. I was walking with a friend. We were just walking down the street, and he looks, yep, those two, yep. He looks up and he's like, what's that? So I stop and I look up, and there's these 2 points of light kind of like dancing around, move. Sometimes they'd be steady, sometimes they'd move like together, sometimes they would like circle each other. And we're on this little skinny sidewalk, and then right to the side is like this busy road, and people are starting to like stop and look and gather, and like we're starting to make like we're starting to impede traffic. So we weren't there that long. But and then when I got home and you zoom in, there's kind of like a triangular sort of like it looks kind of like an energy field off both of them. I don't know if you can see it in this. You kind of can.
Yeah,
But when I inverted the colors, you can see. Yeah. Yep. There's a circular dot, and then they both have like a triangular like energy. Exactly. Okay. And then so we were there for a few minutes. We had to move because we were like in the way. So but they didn't make any sound. It was just weird. But when I got home, I looked into it. I just typed in like Cusco ball of light UFO, and there was a picture showed up of exactly one of these traveling like through a valley, and it had the energy field going off the back of it. And it said, there was this article, and it was like, yeah, people see these around here all the time, and there were other pictures. And so it was just kind of like confirmation, I guess. I mean, those, I don't know if they're where they're from, if they're something that humans made, if it's part of their military secret black projects, but the way they were moving and just the fact that I don't know what they were.
Well, I don't. Can you see it zoomed in like I have now?
Yep, I can see it.
So it's kind of interesting because there's another dot here,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a smaller dot there, and a really small one there, but only this one lit up. But
Right.
it seems like
Well,
there's a line connecting them.
yeah, maybe. When I was there, all you could see was the bright dots, and in the picture that it kind of looks like an energy field, but it could have been separate dots too. I'm not really sure, but
Hmm.
I see what you're saying. It could be.
And this one, the only way I could describe it's gonna sound so
What?
embarrassing coming from me as a guy, but it
What?
looks like abs, like somebody's six pack, because you
Oh
have
yeah.
a circle, 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 light circle.
Yep. I see that now too. Yeah. I mean, it was weird, man.
And I'm not quite so sure
Very
what
strange.
this is over here, off to the right of it,
Yeah. Yep.
but there seems to be like a faint triangle here.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And so, are you wanting me to show the video now?
Yeah. So I don't know what those were, but
Let's see.
yeah. If
Hey,
it shows up, yep, there it is. And the video only shows one of them. It's going. Yep. It only shows one of them, and there's like some bugs, like there's some other lights going by that I think were just bugs, but like in the towards the middle, yep, I kind of zoomed in. There's one of them when it was I don't know where the other one was because sometimes they would separate, but that's the only video that I got.
yeah, I'm not sure. Let me see. I'm kind of trying to figure out which one are we looking at. If it's okay, so I think this is the one on the left because as you
Yeah.
zoomed in, it seemed like there was a light over here for a second, and so that might have been the one on the right. But no, and so I will tell you, I have a friend in Canada. Her name is um, Catherine, or no, Priscilla. Sorry, Priscilla. And she has got me to where I take pictures of where I think I see a star in the sky, or like you're saying, a dot in the sky,
Yeah.
and I zoom in on it, and it's not a star or a dot; that it's a light ship, and she'll say like you got to film it, and if you film it and you can zoom in on the film, you can see it morphing. And I wonder if I can zoom in on these, or if
Mm,
because it's not downloaded, if I can't. Let me try
maybe.
real quick. No, it doesn't let me
Mm.
zoom in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe it was. I've seen those too where they're like sparkling lots of different colors. Is that what you mean? I'm like, that's
Right,
not a star.
right, and it's like it seems to be like moving around. It's like you look at it and it seems to be here, but when you zoom in, it's like it's over here, it's over there, and it's moving around. It's like, that's not a star. Stars don't just
Yeah, it's like
randomly
something
start forming.
masquerading as a star, and most people say it that it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so what we're at like an hour and 11 minutes. What do you want to take some time and talk about any other books that you have out that we haven't hit on?
Sorry, I lost you for.
I was
Any
saying,
other
Do you
books?
have any other books that you want to talk
I do.
about?
Sorry, what's up?
I thought you didn't get the full question, so I was repeating the question is, do you have any books that you've written that we haven't talked about that you want to kind of promote or talk a little bit about?
I think I mentioned most of them. Is it okay if I go? They're back in the other room. Can I go grab them really quick and I'll just show the covers?
Sure.
Okay. Sorry. So I had them in the other room, but then I moved and didn't take them with me. So this is the first one that I was talking about the mer people. It's the mer boy of Sutton Moore Hospital, and then I write under the pen name Tiffany Skylark. So these are all on Amazon. If you just type Tiffany Skylark, Skylark, into Amazon, they should all pop up. But this is the cover of that newest one I was talking about. And then, let's see.
I kind of
This is
like the
the
cover.
Broke saga we're talking about. Yeah, thanks. This is the 3-in-1, the 3-volume one, which I recommend getting because it just this one. So you can get them separately, or this one, like I say, has all 3 books in one. It's 100 pages. And then Ground and Underground Bases Tonight in Tunisia. So you can look for that cover. And this one's pretty short, so it's a quick read. And then this one, this cover, it has a long title, so I'm not going to say it, but this one is I think 6 different six different fantasy short stories. And then I have it both on you. But the short stories, they have them, they're all first in English, and then at the back of the book has the Spanish version all in one. So those are the fantasy short stories. And then this last one, this is the children's book about my cat. We took our cat to a park, and my son wanted to make a book. That's my son up there. He wanted to make a book about taking our cat to the park on a leash. So
I was gonna say, I
so
don't
that's
think
this
cats like being
is
on
the
leashes.
children's book. Um, let's see if no picture.
So, we actually did see all the covers except for the one that came after Tunisia. The screen froze through that entire cover, but we saw the other covers.
This one probably.
Yeah, it's becoming kind of comical as to go. Okay, when are we unfreezing
Okay.
and when are we freezing? We saw
Okay,
that
sorry
one.
about that.
We're like waiting on
Yeah,
it.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's
You saw this one.
we
Was it this
saw
one?
the Tunisia, and then we saw the three, the
Okay.
Roquil and Tunisia and the
Okay.
Merboy, and then we saw
Yeah, so that was just
the
the short stories. Did you see? Could you see this one?
Yes, we did see that one.
Okay. Yeah, so
But I
that
think
was
it was
it
one of
then,
the short
besides
stories.
the children's book. The
Yeah,
short
we.
stories.
I think it was one
That
of
one is
those.
the has like the gray
Oh,
cover
then
with
we did see them all. Okay, I
the
just.
the drawings in the book. Yeah, this is a store, but I think of them though, pretty much.
Yeah, so let me.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all of them. I think you got a glimpse of most of them. Hopefully.
Very cool. And I'm gonna try something here. If my computer will cooperate, much like yours is cooperating. It's, what can I say? It's one of those days. You
Yeah.
just gotta love it. And so let me see now. Is there? Oh, the Rockwheel Battaglia por Catharian. We didn't see that cover. Oh, I know what we're looking at now. Okay, yeah. I was trying to see if I could find your page
Oh,
and I could just direct people to it.
that'd be the
And
second book in the series. And Roku and the Phoenix and Roku and the New Planet. So that has all three of them.
right.
So I have those other books, I just not with me. So this is when you want to get them.
Yeah, I'm trying to do something to help you out, and let's see if this will work. Okay. There is her Amazon author page link scrolling on the bottom. So do go and check out her
Okay.
books. And there, I actually just scrolled through. There
Oh, I
are a
see
lot
it.
to pick from. And so, which books do you recommend people starting with?
Um, Probably either if you want to get an the individual books. Um, Roku and the Phoenix is the first one in the series, so either that or how it turned out. So this is a standalone. It's not going to be part of a series, so probably either the Roku Saga or the Merboy Suttonmore Hospital.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your stories and your experiences with us. Um, wow, I am just in awe of what you have experienced, and I love your approach of, I'm not saying it's this or that, but this is what evidence has pointed towards. And so you're, it feels like you're kind of like I am. I'm like, when I write my stories, it's, here's the evidence, this is how I've interpreted it, you conclude. And so I like that and I respect that. So thank you for sharing that with us and sharing your story with us.
Sorry, I think it froze again. Put him back.
It did freeze, and I was like, man, that was such a meaningful, touching moment. I was like, I'm gonna have to repeat it.
I'm sorry, I missed at all.
Yeah.
Oh
So I was
no.
saying,
I'll watch it on the replay. I'm sure it was very nice.
well, what I was saying is, I like how your writing is much like mine, where I give evidence and then I give my interpretation and thoughts behind it, but then I leave the conclusion to the reader. And I like that your approach is similar to that. And so I
Yeah,
respect that and I like that. And I'm going to do something really quick, probably out of order, because I want to make sure you see it and it gets through with the way the Wi Fi is. But I'm hoping that you're not frozen right now and I'm actually talking with you and not talking to the frozen screen.
I can hear
But
you.
my heart and the heart of my show to you, thank you for what you're doing for humanity and for the world. Thank you for sharing your story. It's much appreciated and much gratitude. So thank you.
Very welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Yes. And we'll have to get you back on again and see if the Wi Fi is still wonky, in which case I'm going to say it's on your end. Or if we get better Wi Fi and more solid. But we do the best we can. And, it's the fun of live shows.
It's a little wonky. I'm sorry if it's on me, but
Uh, who knows why it's wonky? It could be on anyone, it
sorry.
could
Yeah, I'm
just
not
be
sure.
somewhere in the line. Somebody else is making it wonky.
I don't know. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine, and I appreciate you coming on and everything, and I look forward
Yeah,
to
thanks
hearing
again.
more about your adventures and keeping in touch, and you know, so thank you, and
Definitely. Thank you to you too.
well, thank you, and with that, we are going to say good night to everybody. Have a wonderful night, rest of the week, and make sure you follow her author page so you can follow as she adds any more books to her collection. You'll be notified. And check out her books and like, subscribe, and follow along with this show because you never know when she'll be popping back on. And also be aware that tomorrow we do have a special episode airing at 7 o'clock Central Time. So I will see you all tomorrow. Otherwise, normally it would be next week. So we'll see who shows up, and hopefully the internet will be better. But thank you, and thank you to everybody.
Yes.
Much appreciation, and have a wonderful night. And with that, we're going to say good night. Let's try that again.